Good evening, good evening, good evening. How you doing, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Genius Football Show in new settings, new settings. My name's Gene Sylvester, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr.
Wayne Calder. Good evening, Gene. Good evening, people. Good evening, everybody.
If you've been listening to our show over the last year or so on newstarradio.com, then you'll be very familiar with that particular greeting there. That's coined by the Genius Football Show. Yeah, no one else can use that. That's coined by us. Only we can use that. Welcome to everybody listening live on newstarradio.com and those of you that are joined in on Break Tru Tv. It's our debut on Break Tru Tv, actually. So wherever you're listening from, welcome to the show. As always, jam-packed weekend of football, obviously. I think what we're going to have to do is get right into it. We started a little bit late. Apologies for the slightly late delay in starting. We had a few technical difficulties. Like I say, first time doing the show, so obviously there's going to be some teething issues. But we got there, we're here, and we're ready to roll. But before we get into all of the football action of the weekend, guys, we just want to say and send our condolences to the Stuart Pearce family. Awful news this morning around his son passing away, his 21-year-old son passing away this morning. So from everybody here at newstarradio.com, at Break Tru TV, at the Genius Football Show, we're just sending across our sincerest condolences. And obviously our thoughts are with the Stuart Pearce family. Right, let's get on to the football. I believe the game's just finished, hasn't it? I didn't even get to check the score, is it? We'll probably have to come back to that. Did it finish 1-0?
The last time I checked, it was 1-0.
1-0 to Brentford, right?
1-0 to Brentford.
Isn't it crazy, Wayne? When we first, at the beginning of the season, when we knew that Mr. Thomas Frank was going across to Spurs, and not only that, Mbeumo was leaving to go to Man United, Wissa was on his way out the door to Newcastle United, and we said, poor Keith Andrews coming in his first managerial job in the Premier League to follow a guy like Thomas Frank with all his resources depleted, and actually, he's doing all right.
You know what? He's overachieving, but Brentford have done this on a number of different occasions. I mean, Thomas Frank was working there under
What, your old boss?
our old
Or
boss.
Thomas Frank or Dean? What's his name? The one that was at
Dean
Villa?
Smith.
Dean Smith, yeah.
So
yeah,
Thomas Frank was at Brentford with Dean Smith, and then Dean Smith left,
yeah.
and then they gave Thomas Frank the gig, and everyone's like, Thomas who? And look what he's gone on and done. And then
mad.
it seems like they've done it again
Yeah.
with Keith Andrews.
Yeah, yeah.
They've got a system in terms of how they recruit players. They've got a system in terms of how the infrastructure of the club is.
Yeah.
They were one of the first teams in the Premier League to do away with like a reserve side and a youth side and just called it Brentford B. And they then have players in that Brentford B who they're moulding for their first team, who they'll go on and sell as their model.
Exactly.
And it's been very, very successful. The model works. Same with Brighton.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for Keith Andrews, I'm happy for him because it could have went south pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, he could have done an Ange.
Yeah, no. He could never do an Ange. Ange's next level. We'll come back to that one, Big Ange, later on. But yeah, listen, I think the game ended actually 2-0. So goals from Igor Thiago, obviously the summer signing, and Matt Jensen as well, getting an injury time winner also. So Brentford winning out 2-0 there at the London Stadium. Obviously, Nuno Espirito's moved down there, obviously from following his departure from Nottingham Forest, which we'll talk about a bit later on, obviously. Because you can't talk about Big Ange without talking about Nuno Espirito and the way he was ousted from the club. But I mean, he's got a huge job down there at the London Stadium with West Ham, right? For me, I know there was a lot of pressure put on, obviously, your guy, Potter, who left there. But to be honest with you, when you look at the squad they've got there, they haven't got a lot to work with right now.
I think Potter's a nice guy, and he likes projects. I think when you're going into West Ham, you've got to understand you've taken them from their spiritual home at Upton Park. I mean, you speak about jelly deals, you speak about Green Street, you speak about like what the experience was going to Upton Park, because they changed it to the bowling ground just before.
The bowling, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
Upton Park, West Ham, and then they've moved to the London Stadium. And yes, I heard something like they're only paying £2 million a year in terms of rent.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about what the London Stadium is and how much money that would cost, they've got it at a snippet of a cost.
Yeah, for sure.
But they were promised European football. They were promised a world-class team. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe that they've delivered on any of those promises.
Well, they delivered on European football and they won the trophy and then they got rid of the manager. So, I mean, you know, they kind of delivered in that regard. But for me also, when you talk about the London Stadium, moving from the bowling to the London
I'm going to
Stadium.
call it the bowling, I'm going to call it Upton Park.
The bowling, because that's what it was called last time. And I'm sure there's some historical links to the bowling naming as well. But ultimately, when they moved to London Stadium, what they lost a bit of energy in the stadium. You know, have you been to the stadium as yet?
I haven't been inside.
Okay, so I was there. I was actually there for the Olympics when it was first built, but also I was there when Liverpool played down there many years ago. And one thing that I noticed was the distance from the stand to the ground, to the actual football pitch. Yeah, and you know, some of the most intimidating stadiums in the Premier League, Wayne, you know, are the likes of Everton are in danger of losing that atmosphere as well, because Goodison Park, it was such like a, you know, the stands were on top of the pitch. When players were going to get the ball to take a throw in, you know, they were getting a few verbals, you know what I mean? And they were within swinging distance if anybody got a little bit fresh. Yeah. So for me, some of these teams that have moved into the bigger stadiums, whilst it obviously increases their revenue, totally understand, you know, you've got bigger attendance, so you're going to get bigger revenue coming in, but they lose the essence sometimes. I think West Ham, as a club and as a stadium where, you know, visiting teams are going to play, it doesn't have the same fear factor as the bowling stroke Upton Park, if you like.
But then I've been to Upton Park, and Upton Park was tight.
Correct.
And like when they started chanting and they started singing, you could feel it.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Because the stadium's tight, the crowd's not far from the pitch.
Yeah.
You could hear what people were saying.
So true.
I just get the feeling. As I said, I haven't been inside the London Stadium, but just from some of the reports that I've read and some that I've seen and hearing it. The fans are so far away. Some of the noise isn't travelling.
It's not. Yeah, the acoustics aren't the way they probably need to be for a football stadium. For an athletic stadium, yeah, great. But for a football stadium, it's totally different. I mean, another club, if you want to bring that into play, is, you know, Arsenal moving from Highbury to the Emirates.
I was waiting for you to bring up Arsenal.
I had to get them in the first, you know, the opening section, right? Yeah, but it's true, you know, Highbury again. You know, they were right on top of you in Highbury, and now, you know, they got the Emirates, and they've finally got an atmosphere there. It's only taken them 10, 12 years, but they've actually got a bit of an atmosphere going now.
Did they even though even Highbury? I thought it was the library at Highbury.
No, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. So it's taken them 10, 12 years to get an atmosphere where they are now in the Emirates Stadium, even though they had to steal some of our songs in order to get that atmosphere going. But it's okay. You know, we give to the needy, man. You know, we're giving club. I had to get that little dig in there for the Arsenal fans, by the way. But ultimately, that's because we're going to go into the next section, which is talking about Arsenal. And obviously their win, really important win at Fulham. I don't believe they've won there over the last 3 seasons. I think this is the first win on their 4th visit, I think, to get points. They actually come away with maximum points. So that's, you know, when a team is looking to try and overcome demons, and Arsenal must have demons coming from the last 3 seasons where they went really close with Man City, and then after the second season where they came second, then they're thinking, okay, this is our season. Then Arne Slot comes from nowhere and wins the league with Liverpool, right? So they've got to be thinking there's a bit of a demon kind of, you know, feeling for them at the moment, that they've got to get over this hurdle. And sometimes the beginning of getting over that hurdle, getting that monkey off your back, is actually beating the teams that are historically your bogey teams, going there and getting a really dirty 1-0 win and showing the character and the strength to actually come away from the ground where you're not historically that successful there, right? So this could be a bigger than just the 3 points that it represents.
Quite possibly. But as I was saying to my brothers, like, you don't win the league in October. The league is won in April, May. That's when you win it.
Truth.
In terms of the performance, what I would say about Arsenal, I think we need to clip this part, because I don't really talk very positively about Arsenal.
Don't worry, I'll edit it out later, don't worry.
But they have shown a maturity and a consistency that I think they've only conceded, is it 3 goals in the first 11 games?
It sounds about right. I'd just be surprised.
White at right back, and they consider that a top defence. This season, in my opinion, they've upgraded with Timber and Calafiori.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to call him Cauliflower there, but Calafiori.
Yeah, that's his nickname. Yeah.
But
Calafiori.
Calafiori.
Yeah.
But the reason why he didn't play last season was because he was injured.
Yeah, when he first came.
And when he was injured, Louis Skelly got in and did very well.
Correct.
So I could understand that. And Louis Skelly done very well for himself, but now you're seeing Calafiori. He's a solid specimen of Italian beef.
And let's get this straight, right? Initially, I saw him and I thought, okay, he's this kind of really strong, robust Italian defender like Maldini-esque. I mean, Maldini that's given him, has blown a lot of smoke up his derriere. But what I mean is, I thought he was just a rugged defender. But I mean, he's popping shots into top corners with his weaker foot. do you understand? From the edge of the area. So he's got a little bit more about him than just, this defensive kind of grit that we usually associate with Italian defenders.
Did you see the finish?
Which one?
His finish.
Oh, yeah.
No, disallowed.
Oh, the weekend?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Beautiful play from Arsenal.
There you go.
Played over the top. I think it came over his right shoulder towards his left foot.
Yeah.
Outside his foot. Boom. Scored it. But he was offside. I'm watching that and I'm thinking, you've got an atypical Italian defender. So you know he's going to get stuck in. You know he's not going to give you an inch.
Yeah.
And then he can go into the opposition's box and pull off a sublime piece of skill and finish like that.
That's what I'm saying. And to be fair, if you look at all Arsenal's defenders, let's take Saliba and Gabriel out of the mix. But if you talk about Timber, if you talk about Calafiori, if you talk about Miles Lewis Skelly, even Ben White to a degree, when they get into the final third, they've all got a bit about them. Yeah. So when they move into that kind of like midfield berth, as a lot of fullbacks do nowadays, when they come inside, they look very comfortable in those positions because they're ball players. They're all really, kind of comfortable on the ball in tight spaces. So yeah, it's no surprise that you're telling me that he banged a goal like that and it was disallowed. But obviously the goal that actually counted, surprise, came from a corner, came from a set piece, which obviously they just got down to a T at the moment. The ball's floated in. As usual, you got that kind of barrage play that kind of pushes the defenders to the front post, and then Gabriel just comes through the gap, just rises majestically, flicks on the ball, and then Trossard there at the back post to prod it in with his knee. Really, it's weird because everybody knows what's coming, but they can't stop it. It's almost like what you used to say, like, about Messi or about, Ronaldo, about Salah. You know what's going to happen. You know Salah's going to cut in on his left foot. But, you can't just stand a wall in that inside channel, stopping him coming inside. And it's similar with the Arsenal thing. I think the minute defenders start to look to see where the ball's coming in to get the flight, that's when they just come in from your blind side and just push you out of the way. You're just not ready. So, yeah. Obviously, can't knock it. They get a bit of criticism for scoring so many goals, set pieces. Who cares? They got 3 points.
A goal's a goal. A goal's a goal.
A goal's a goal.
A goal's a goal.
3 points is 3 points.
And in seasons gone by, you would see Arsenal go to Fulham and either struggle to get a result or lose.
Yeah.
But what I felt in that performance from Arsenal, I don't feel they were at risk of losing. I don't think they've conceded a shot in the last 2 games.
Wow,
which is something that hasn't happened.
On target, maybe.
On target.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
And that's something that champions.
That's what champions are made of, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
No, I'm not saying
they're going to be champions. Okay, it's just what other champions are made of.
Yeah.
Usually, you're not wrong. Guys, it's coming up to 10:30. We are due to go for a break. It's been a very short first period, simply because of the fact that obviously we started a bit late. But we will continue with the Arsenal talk after the break. But for now, we've got to go away. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. And welcome back to the Gene-Ius Football Show, guys, here live on newstarradio.com and Break Tru Tv. Once again, if you're listening on newstarradio.com and you want to see what's going on here in the studio, feel free to jump onto Break Tru TV on YouTube. But also, as we've said, you can also hear us streaming live also on newstarradio.com. Before the break, we were just starting to get into the Arsenal thing. We spoke obviously about the fact of, their great defence, their ability to grind out results now. the value that their set pieces are bringing, you know, in order to ensure they get results. Obviously, in the game on the weekend, Gyökeres had a couple of opportunities, kind of wide, but he took his shot on, hit the target, pretty easy saves for the keeper. But so far, so good for Gyökeres, would you say? Or do you think, you know, the Arsenal fans will be expecting more from him?
When you pay in excess of £60 million for a striker, you're expecting a striker that scores goals. If you're looking at it from a purely adding another dimension to Arsenal, I think he does that because he runs channels, he runs length, he puts defenders under pressure, he uses his physical size to pin players and he holds them back. And it creates those pockets of space for Saka, for your Ezes, for Odegaard when he comes back. You know what I mean? For Martinelli. He'll create space for those types of players. But when you're paying that amount of money for a striker, you're expecting them to score.
As well. I think he's gone 7 games now without a goal in all competitions.
But if you just judge him on his goal scoring, then you probably say actually no. But if you look at what he contributes to the team,
exactly.
And when they didn't have that last season, for example, the defence could push up, the midfielders could tuck, fullbacks could tuck in and push up and overload them in the midfield. But they can't do that now because if your fullbacks tuck in and push up, he's going to peel off into the channels, and you're going to have centre halves running into the channels.
Correct. And as you rightly say, the two centre halves, when you're playing someone like Havertz, for example, or even, you know, Moreno, you know, in that kind of false 9 position, you find your centre-backs have got quite an easy game. They've got quite an easy day. I say easy day, sometimes it makes it a bit difficult because no one knows who needs to pick up Moreno or Havertz, and that obviously adds a dimension also. But I think, as you rightly say, the one particular chance that he had on the weekend when Saka worked some magic down the right-hand side, by the way, Saka was absolutely immense from what I saw on Saturday. But he picked it up on the right-hand side, he comes inside, and then Gyökeres makes that run that all good number 9s make, which is a run across the front of the defender. So as Saka's coming inside, he can just cut a ball back into the path of Gyökeres' run, and that's how he then got his shot off. So as you rightly say, even without the goals, there's some standard number 9 play that Gyökeres brings to Arsenal that the likes of Havertz and Moreno don't bring because they're not natural number 9. So you're right, there's definitely some value there even without the goals. There was also a contentious decision around the penalty that was given on Saka for a challenge by Fulham fullback Kevin. It's a great Brazilian name, isn't it? Great Brazilian name. No, seriously, the Brazilians look, you know, like we look at it and say, yeah, you know, I want to be called Roberto or, you know, Juninho or something like that, right? These guys over in Brazil are like, yo, Kevin, that's the one. So, okay, for me, looked at the challenge. Initially, the direction of the ball, I thought, okay, clean challenge. When it's slowed down to like the 8th degree, do you know what I'm saying? Like using technology, you then see a slight touch on Saka's knee before the ball is taken. But the proximity of the touch on the knee and then the touch on the ball, for me, is not big enough. It wasn't a long enough time between the touch on the knee, the Saka then falls, and then he gets the ball. It was almost a simultaneous motion, a simultaneous touch. So for me, with that in mind, I don't think it was enough to give a penalty. I think if he doesn't get any of the ball, it's a clear penalty. Clear penalty. Even if he goes through Saka, if he has to go through more of Saka, I'll say. Because ultimately it was just a touching of knees. But if he's got to go through the back of Saka to get the ball, then obviously it's a penalty. Your thoughts?
I was debating this particular issue because I understand if it had been given, but I also understand the fact that it's not.
Yeah.
If a challenge like that takes place in a European competition, that's going to be a penalty. In the Premier League, it's a bit more rugged, and it's a bit more at the referee's discretion.
Yeah.
So I think it's a brave referee not to give it. And I know that the Arsenal fans are probably crying in their pillows about how they...
There'll be a petition out soon, right? Arsenal fans, I'm sure they'll have a petition already started for that one. Yeah. PGMOL, they're at it again. They're trying to stop us from winning the league.
Yeah, but for me, I just think that I was happy that the referee stuck to his guns and he gave what he saw.
Well, actually,
you don't see that.
Well, actually, the on-pitch decision was a penalty. on pitch didn't with a penalty, but it's VAR that told him to have a look, and then he announced it on the microphone in the stadium to say what the reason why they're changing the decision. So I think, as you rightly say, in real time, no, kind of advantage of replays and slow-mos and this, that, the other. In real time, 50-50 will go penalty, 50 will go not penalty, you got the ball. It can go either way. And as you rightly say, I don't think it's clean enough in either camp to say either decision would have been a travesty.
Yeah.
You got it, great, you got it. You didn't get it, okay, one of those. Win some, you lose some in that regard. But ultimately for Arsenal, they didn't need the penalty anyway. They got over the line, obviously, with the 1-0 win, which took them 4 points clear. No, sorry, 3 points. I said 5 points because they're 5 points clear of Liverpool. 3 points clear at the top.
You realise it's about 5-4-3. You're going to get 2? Maybe 1.
I tell you why, because I've been studying the term like 5 points, 5 points. I keep looking at it, 5 points clear. Anyway, early days, you say, it's only October. We'll come back to Manchester City in a minute. Obviously, they're sitting in second. But first, let's talk about Liverpool, who obviously started the day in second, obviously after the international break. There was a thinking around Liverpool that maybe the international break would do them some good. Players get to go away, reset with their national teams, come back refreshed, and maybe, have a bit more, of a pep in their step, so to speak. Ultimately, and sorry, Wayne put some notes in around this, guys, and he said, are the wheels falling off? Has the honeymoon period ended? The cheeky. Anyway, I mean, it's a valid question. Bearing in mind, a lot of people will say last season's success was built on Klopp's foundations. Yep. Translated into he won it with Klopp's team. That's what a lot of people will suggest. Yeah, I still think that he added elements to that team that allowed us to go up the levels that we did. However, this team is more of a slot team now because of the departures and the incomings that have come in. Yep. And I think now you're seeing what you probably would usually see in a new manager who usually joins a new club. Because usually a new manager joins a new club when the club's not done so well. So they've got to bring in new players. Then there's got to be a period for the players to gel, the manager's philosophy to get across, so on and so forth. So it's kind of like we're seeing that in a delayed reaction. Because last season, there were no signings brought in other than Chiesa, who didn't play anyway. So might as well say there were no signings brought in. And there were no departures. The squad stayed together. So all he had to do was come in and just tweak and fine-tune elements of what was already there, right? So yeah, obviously the big game of the weekend was the Man United game. Still the biggest fixture in the football calendar for most globally. Others will say Barcelona, Real Madrid. Others will say...
I will say Barcelona, Real Madrid.
A lot of people would say Barcelona, Real Madrid. A lot of people would also say Celtic Rangers. A lot of people will say, Arsenal Spurs, although I'm not sure Arsenal Spurs is up there. Just simply because... This is no slant on Arsenal, by the way. It's more a slant on Spurs, this is. Right. No, it is. It's more a slant on Spurs. Because if Spurs were more successful and actually were able to talk to Arsenal in regards to trophies, then when they come together, you can say, okay, this is a big one. Go on.
Who won a trophy last season?
Yeah, but what do they say? One lark doesn't make a summer or something like that.
Have Spurs got a European trophy in their trophy cabinet?
Yes, they did. And as far as I'm concerned, they had a better season than Arsenal because they got Champions League football and they got a trophy. Arsenal got Champions League football and didn't get a trophy. So ultimately, I look at that and say, as a manager, I'm walking away from that season happier, even though it's clear. Oh, I think we've got some feedback coming through here. Even though, and finished, what was it, 17th in the league? Something like that. But anyway, let's come back to Liverpool, Man United. Again, a bit of a contentious moment, I'll say, leading up to the first goal. In the first minute of the game, Van Dijk goes up for a header with Mbeumo and also McAllister. Now, my first thing is does Van Dijk need to go in and challenge there? McAllister's challenging Mbeumo for the ball. Maybe Mbeumo beats McAllister to the ball, that's fine, but at least Van Dijk retains his shape in the back line. But he gets drawn into that midfield battle. Not only he wins the first header, but doesn't really clear the lines far enough. He takes out his own man in McAllister, elbow to the back of the head. McAllister goes down holding his head. And Mbeumo's turning around looking at the ref saying, hey, what about a free kick? Then he realises, there's an opportunity, and gets up and he's off. as he starts running now, ball goes out to Ahmad on the right hand side, and Mbeumo runs in behind Van Dijk. The second thing that I'm thinking, Van Dijk, what are you doing? Is that he doesn't even look behind him to see what Konate's got and is dealing with. He just points to Mbeumo as if to say, Konate, that's your man. Didn't need to. The players that he was looking at was Kerkez and Ahmad. So Kerkez has got Ahmad. You need to look around to see where do you need to. So he's a little bit strange. And he was trotting back, and Mbeumo just waltzes past him on the inside rim. Beautiful ball from Ahmed into Mbeumo, and Mbeumo first time strike. Powerful, near post, beats Mamadashvili in the Liverpool goal. Now, the question was, or the contentious part of the situation for me was, should the player have been stopped because of McAllister being holding his head on the floor, is the question.
Now, for me, my understanding in terms of refereeing and the rules is that if there's a head injury, the game should be stopped. In that situation, unbeknown whether it was a genuine injury or not, there was a head injury. So for me, it should have been stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm watching and I'm thinking, at what stage are you going to blow the whistle? And then it didn't happen. And then they've gone in and scored the goal. And I'm like, that's going to be a flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because they're going to talk about concussion protocols, they're going to talk about head injuries in footballers, they're going to talk about not taking it seriously, and someone's going to get seriously.
Yeah.
Because it then leads on to my next point in terms of how was McAllister allowed to continue playing?
So let's come back to that point around him continuing playing. What you said earlier on, though, I'm really interested in regards to the concussion protocol. Who is the judge and jury to say that player's head injury is genuine or not? But also, and it's something I've spoken to you before about, I've spoken about it on the show. What about the accountability of players? Because we do see a lot of players using the head injury aspect to get games halted when the other team is on the attack. There was a similar issue, wasn't there, last week with Arsenal and, who were they playing? Who were Arsenal playing? It definitely wasn't Fulham because that was yesterday. Can't remember, but whoever Arsenal played just prior to the international break, I think it was. Similar thing happened. Arsenal on the break, and then one of their players is in their own half holding his head, laying on the floor. And as soon as the referee blows the whistle, the player then gets up onto his feet. But the game's already stopped now and Arsenal have lost their momentum. So where is the accountability on the players to stop the play acting? Because the play acting is what could eventually lead to a player being genuinely injured on the floor with a head injury and not getting the treatment he needs quickly enough because the referee just assumes it's another attempt to try and stop the game and stop the attacking player in motion. So for me, there's accountability there on the players themselves on the pitch. But ultimately, one thing that I would say that goes, even though for me I say, yeah, game should have been stopped, one thing that I suppose goes in favour of the game carrying on was that from the moment of him falling on the ground, it was a very quick turnaround to the ball hitting the back of the net. Yeah, it wasn't like it was a 15, 20 second, 30 second, 40 second period of play where McAllister's holding his head on the floor and everyone's running around him. Literally, the play moved from that instant straight to the penalty area and goal. So that's the only thing that I can say. Maybe the referee, if it had gone on, if it had got cleared, or he'd gone out for a corner, whatever, that's when he probably would have stopped it and said, okay, let's go and have a look at McAllister. So I think it was 8 seconds between him falling on the floor and the ball hitting the back of the net. So from that point of view, I get it. It wasn't a long period of time. But as you rightly say, there needs to be some real clarity around that. Is it that if someone goes down with a head injury, the referee has to blow up within a specified period of time because that's a critical window, for example, within which the player needs to get attention? If that is, then they need to make that very clear and defined. I think at the moment in football, there's too many kind of rules with really blurry edges that can be really interpreted in different ways, in different games, in different situations. With the head protocol, they just need to make that very, very clear cut. So when the referee says, stop the game, no one's coming and arguing with him. It's the 5-second rule or it's the 10-second rule, whatever the case may be. So yeah, obviously, did I do enough there to distract from the fact that Man United took the 1-0 lead?
Nope. tried to brush over Cunha's finish, but
Yeah, right.
Let's go.
I tried.
Yeah.
So yeah, Man United take the lead. Liverpool get into their stride. I wouldn't say that Liverpool really had Man United's backs against the wall. Man United actually had a really great opportunity by Bruno, who had a ball played back to him on the edge of the area. Bruno will usually pick a top corner easily. He had nobody near him. He's hitting it first time from the edge of the area. He's gone with the instep to try and curl it into the top right-hand corner. He's just clipped the outside of the post and he's gone out for a goal kick. But Liverpool were showing signs of getting back into it. Cody Gakpo, I think he hit the post 3 times throughout the game. Twice in the first half, I believe, and then once in the second half before he eventually actually got his goal. A goal which was made by the substitutes who'd come on. Wirtz didn't start the game. Florian Wirtz came off the bench and was heavily involved in the penalty area. Kind of got control of the ball in the penalty area. It was being kind of ping-ponged about. Then he kind of lays it out to Chiesa on the left. Chiesa then fires one across the floor, and Chiesa again with another assist. When will Chiesa get a chance? I don't know.
Slot don't like him.
Yeah, but what is there not to like? He's not kicking up a fuss. He looks really good around the training ground. He's always smiling and laughing. And then when he comes off the bench, he produces. What is there not to like? Especially when someone like Mohamed Salah is clearly not at the races at the moment.
You know what? I'm going to have to throw some water on myself in the break. I just think that the dip in Salah and Van Dijk's form.
Yeah.
Is it that the style and tactics that Liverpool are operating in at the moment is not getting the best out of Salah? I.e., you kind of counter-attack at pace, and you're going for the jugular, but at the moment, Liverpool seem to be, we're going to keep possession of the football.
Correct.
And they're passing the ball forward, backwards, without any penetration.
That's right.
Without any end result.
Frustrating.
And Salah is kind of at the sharp end of it because his game relies on you playing in that manner, in that fashion, leaving him isolated one-on-one where he can do what he needs to do.
Playing the ball in behind the fullback for him to get onto and then get one-on-one.
Yeah. But Liverpool don't appear to be doing that.
Yeah.
My thing with Van Dijk, like when people say, Van Dijk's the best defender in the world, he was, but from what I'm seeing at the moment, either he's got no confidence in Kirk and Canute around him, or his form starting to dip.
I think it's a little bit of both. Without a doubt. I watched.
Sorry.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
Ahmed had Kirkers on post.
Oh no, without a doubt. I've seen a lot of Van Dijk giving Kirkers a good roasting in a number of matches, even with just the simplest things where Kirkers just chosen the wrong pass maybe, and you can see Van Dijk really kind of ripping into him. At the moment though, I think when your form is not at the top of where it needs to be, I think there needs to be more focus on your game. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be still encouraging those around you and pulling people up when they're not doing what they need to be doing. But at the moment, I think there is a slight decline in Van Dijk, which, I mean, is that not expected at the age of 33? Of course it's expected. So that's where you almost look to build a team around him to protect him a little bit more. That's where you probably need someone who can actually just patrol that space in front of the defence so he's not being exposed one-on-one every time, which seems to be a lot at the moment. You know, it seems to be a lot where a lot of players are able to get at him and Canate. Salah, agree with you again, and I think that also goes for the likes of Isaac, and it also goes for the likes of Florian Wirtz. They're two players, Isaac especially, who's used to playing at Newcastle United, where when they get possession of the ball, they look to get the ball forward early.
Not just Newcastle, he's like that at Sociedad as well.
As well, exactly.
Sociedad were not big possession football, possession of football.
Correct.
They'd hit you on the break and they'd hit you hard on the break.
And it's probably the same more or less with Sweden. Sweden are not a possession-based team. Yeah. They look to get the ball forward. And when you get the ball forward quickly, it means that players like Isaac, they have more space and time to actually work in. When you're building up with that really slow tempo that Liverpool are doing at the moment, where actually, rather than play an incisive pass through, they'd rather say, no, that might get intercepted. Let's keep possession. By doing that, by the time the ball's getting anywhere near the penalty area, Isaac's space is just crowded out. There's nowhere to play balls. Now you've got to look to get crosses in, and that's anybody's game. In fact, Isaac's opportunity at the weekend, the one clear-cut opportunity he had, Canate through ball, incisive through ball, slide rule pass down the channel. He's onto it and he's away from the defence. No one's catching him. I think Isaac, full of confidence, settled, slots that. But it was a good effort, but he was just too close to the keeper, and the keeper saved with his feet. So you could say good save from the keeper, but I think a fully functioning Isaac, I think puts that away. Obviously 1-1 now. You're thinking Liverpool, okay, they're going to go and push for the win now, and Groundhog Day.
I need to ask Liverpool supporters.
Ask
The,
them
o- the only way Harry Maguire is going to score is if he hits his kebab head in the box.
Yeah.
How did Manchester United have 3 players unmarked
At the
on
back
the
post.
far post
Yeah.
at that stage of the game?
I'll tell you how. So it's a corner. Bruno Fernandes taking a corner. So they've all set up in the middle of the box, for a corner to be whooped in. The corner goes short to him when on the edge of the box, who then takes that first time shot. Even when he took the shot, I thought, what an idiot. I was there chuckling, what an idiot. So I'm thinking that just wanted a nice little dink chip into the far post. You know what I mean? Let the players. But he hits a shot. It cannons off the back of somebody. I can't remember who it cannons off the back of. Goes straight back out to Bruno. As the ball cannons back out, the Liverpool, most of the Liverpool defence still hold a fairly, but they're starting to move out. Szoboszlai was marking Harry Maguire. So as the ball comes out, Szoboszlai leaves Harry Maguire. So when the ball's lofted back in, Harry Maguire then makes the second motion now to go back in, and Szoboszlai just had cemented, but just stood still like this and just watched Harry Maguire just have a free header. Watch Harry Maguire get a free head on goal, and as you said, that's the only way he was going to score, right? Yeah. So it looked worse. Well, I say it looked worse than it was. I think if you've got a defender marking Harry Maguire there, they're switched on for that recycling ball coming back in. I think Szoboszlai, he's not a defender, so you don't have that same instinct, right? But ultimately, what was that? The first back-to-back win for Mr. Amorim. Man United turning a corner.
I think I heard some reports talking about he's managed to weed out all the deadwood out of his squad, and he hasn't got them in a changing room. And, he's got a squad that believe in his methods. What methods those are, I struggle to identify. And then when I'm seeing Dogu come on, I was like, oh gosh, are you a Manchester United player?
Yeah.
Like, are you?
Dogu, I actually like him. I actually like him. I prefer him in a left back of a 4, personally, because I think that whole wing back thing means that you're not sure what is he. What is he? Is he a winger? Is he a defender? So I think he's kind of in between 2 places himself in that position, But ultimately, also what I'd say is, whilst Man United got their second win in a row back to back, the first time that's happened since Amorim's been here, I asked you if you think they've turned a corner. But personally, when you look at the stats of the game, Liverpool still bossed possession. They still had almost double the amount of shots, double the amount of corners. So in terms of and hitting the post 3 times, you're thinking if any of those goals go in, then it's back to business, right? Business as usual. But you also have to.
You lost.
No, exactly. Hey, I was just about to give credit to Man United. I was going to say you've also got to give credit that even in that moment they stood strong, and even when it looked like the boat was creaking a little bit, they still stood strong, and then they still actually went for the winner themselves. They didn't just sit back and waste time and blow. They still actually said, at that stage of the game, they could quite easily have left Harry Maguire back just to marshal the back for any breaks, just to hold out for a 1-1 draw. But they actually went for the win. They put the players up there for the corner, and they got their just deserved. So I'm not going to hate.
So Man United got their just deserves in their defeat of Liverpool at Anfield.
Yes.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Listen, that's football, right? We know Liverpool aren't playing at their optimum at the moment. We know they're not.
I like this.
We know they're not. So I'm not gonna try and hate and make any excuses. My excuse is we need to start playing with a higher tempo. I want to see the ball going forward earlier. Yeah. I want to start using the tools that are at our disposal rather than trying to play a system that sounds nice in theory but doesn't actually match the playing personnel that you have on the pitch. That's what I want.
And the other question I want to speak to you about with Liverpool's performance on Sunday. Did Ekatike come on the pitch to get sent off? Did you see how many times he left his foot in? How many people he knocked over? And I'm watching him thinking, you're a lucky lad.
Yeah, you know what it is? He's got a lot of passion, obviously. And also remember, he feels that he's got to prove himself 10 times over in order to dislodge Isaac. And that's just for the price tag alone. Because in terms of performances, he's outshining Isaac on every level. Work rate, creativity, you know what I mean, ability, confidence, everything. He looks levels above Isaac at the moment. But I think he knows that he's always going to be up against it with Isaac obviously being the big money signing that's coming in the summer. What he did do when he came on and he showed some great touches. There was a ball that he got on the left, cut inside on his right, came inside, then fired a shot. He went wide, but he just showed intent. And for me, I mean, I don't want to, big him up too much, but this is Henri in the making, man. This feels like the second coming of Henri. Mark my words.
Henri?
I'm just saying, mark my words, innit? We'll record it. You can come back to me in a year's time. We'll see what Ekatike is, yeah? He's showing signs of being that good, as far as I'm concerned. I'll leave that with you to mill on that for a little while. Guys, we're going to take another break now, just coming up to 11 o'clock. We're going to go for another quick break. When we come back, we'll start... obviously, we've got to talk about Big Ange. I mean, that's the talking point of the weekend, really. So we will talk about Big Ange after the break. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the other side. You going to put a ground journalist? And welcome back to the Gene-Ius Football Show. Once again, streaming live on Break Tru Tv and also newstarradio.com. Same show on a Monday night, same time, slightly different format, more improved format. We've got the logo going on in the background. You can see us, we're chilling on a nice little sofa here, not sitting on a high chair, by the studio with a mic. Yeah, all good, all good, all good. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new format as well. Guys, you know that we usually have the Grime journalist come through as well with his usual roundup. Very, very unique roundup of football action. Let me just check. Are we able to get the Grime journalist on? We're going to get him on in a bit, so you'll be able to get his roundup. Again, obviously, the game just finished, about an hour ago. But he just works magic, man. As soon as the game's done on a Monday night, man, he just puts it all together, and then he gets it over to us, and then we obviously play it on the show in all of our shows. So you have to pick up the Grime journalist. If you're not following him already, please go check out his profile on Instagram. He's there on TikTok, on where else? On X. No social media platforms, you'll be able to find him. And you need to check out his... And by the way, he doesn't just do football. He also does... He does, the Sinners show? Is it the Sinners show? Is that the one you watch?
Traitors.
Or Traitors even. Yeah. Traitors. He does like a roundup on Traitors as well. He was actually... I saw something on his profile the other day with, the girl that's on, or the lady that's on EastEnders. And she plays, I can't remember her name. She used to be in the Three Non-Blondes.
Oh, yes.
Tamika
I know
something.
who you're talking about.
Yeah. I saw him with her. So I think he's going to be doing another Traitors kind of, roundup soon probably as well. So check that out. Once we've got that ready, we'll let you guys hear it as well. So bear with us. I'd say new format still, testing the different, technology and all them things there. So bear with us. While we're waiting for that, obviously we're giving you our roundup of the weekend's activity within the Premier League. Obviously one of the big matches at the weekend was Forest versus Chelsea. Not just because both teams, I suppose last season, they were vying for the same positions, weren't they? In fact, I think Chelsea was one of the teams that pipped Nottingham Forest at the very death for Champions League football when Forest had held third place for pretty much most of the season, right? So it was a huge game in that regard because obviously quite closely matched teams, but also because Big Ange was under a whole lot of pressure. Did you see the press conference prior to the game?
I only saw the clips of it.
Can I just read you a line that he again, he dropped it. He dropped this line. I was like,
He was not just who we are. That was last season.
No. Listen, he's kind of perfected his skill now. He's honed his art. So it's a bit more. It's a bit more. What can I say?
Refined.
A bit more refined indeed. So hear this one, and I quote. I said, I'm not going to do the accent now. I'm not going to do the accent. I said last year, while in charge of Tottenham, in my second year, I always win things, right? And what's the key to that? That I'm here in my second year. So I heard that, and I was like, So basically what you do, you're trying to bribe them to keep you for a second year.
Just to see what you might do.
Regardless of how bad you are this year, because you'll definitely win a trophy next year.
It could have been the Championship coming back up to the Premier League.
Correct.
All right.
So he said, that's key, that I'm here in the second year because it takes a bit of time. But he said, but the story always ends the same. You leave me here, let me do my job, it'll end the same, with a trophy. If I don't, and I'm removed, well, what can I do about it? I can't win in this situation in terms of trying to convince people. You either see what you see or you don't. Either way, it doesn't affect me. Big Ange, I think what everyone was seeing was that Forest weren't winning games. I think out of out of the 11 games, no, it was 8 games actually in total. Got 2 draws and 6 losses. And one of those losses was to Swansea in the Carabao Cup. Away. So, I think for me personally, what he needed was just to be a little bit humble. Just say, yeah, you know what? I know things aren't going right. I know it's going to take time. I had ups and downs at Spurs as well. Yeah, I didn't leave, in terms of league position in the highest position, but we were able to get a tune out of them in order to get a trophy, but I'm fully aware of what's required here, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
But when you get to the point where some people believe their own hype.
Yeah, yeah.
I said it last season, and I'm going to do it again this season. And you want to back against us?
Yeah.
And I think you can. For me, there are some fundamental things that went wrong at Forest. Nuno Espirito Santos is a very functional manager. He has his players playing in a very functional way, and he likes his flair players, and he plays a system which is built on defensive solidity, workman-like performances in midfield,
with
and
a little bit of flair, sprinkle of flair.
And you have a big man up front that can score goals.
Yeah.
I think what Ange has tried to do is try to change this functional team that have been very successful in the method in terms of how they've been playing.
Yeah.
And he's tried to change too much too soon.
Yeah.
He hasn't eased. There's no kind of easing in
transition.
process.
Yeah, it was just like
It's
straight.
like, bang, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So because all of a sudden Chris Wood stopped scoring goals. I think Forest have only won 1 game this season. That was the game that Nuno.
Did they win it? No, did they win it? Yeah, probably.
They won 1 game this season. I can't think of which game it was, but they won 1 game this season. Gibbs White looked absolutely a shade darker last season. You had Elanga and you had Hudson-Odoi, who on their day, in that quick transition turnover, they could sit deep and hit you on the break.
That's right.
They're lightning quick.
That's right. And Forest did win. They went on the opening day against Brentford. Yeah, you're right, at home. Exactly. And that was under Nuno, obviously.
Yeah.
For me, Marinakis really... I said it I put a little social media clip out as soon as I heard that he'd been sacked. I just said, as an owner of Nottingham Forest, that was extremely irresponsible of him not to make that relationship work with Nuno. Yeah? Good managers don't grow on trees. Yeah? And even good managers can come and may not have what it takes at your club. They may have won shed loads elsewhere, but they may not have what it takes at your club. You had a man here who seemed to understand the fans, understood the players, understood the club and what was required to bring success. And you let a difference in, potentially a difference in personalities, a difference in personalities, I should say, kill that dream that a lot of Forest fans would have had for this season.
Yeah, but when you speak to Forest fans, and you see the interview that Nuno did, you can kind of... Was there any coming back from that?
What did he say? Was he not just talking truthfully that, communication hasn't been very good this season? Is that not just the truth? And that all stemmed from Marinakis. And again, if Marinakis didn't make a fool out of himself storming on the pitch at the end of that game near the end of last season, no one would be asking him about the relationship between him and Marinakis. So Marinakis created a situation that Nuno is now put in front of the cameras and having to deal with and manage. Marinakis is the one that should have come out and made statements. It's not Nuno's responsibility. Nuno didn't do anything. He was on the pitch because that's where he's supposed to be. Do you understand?
If you're looking at it for just that one instance, but then what you're hearing is that they used to speak every day. Edu's coming, And all of a sudden, Marinakis doesn't have the day-to-day relationship with Nuno, and
Which
then
happens.
Edu wants to bring in his players.
Yeah,
When he's
which
trying to
happens.
speak to Marinakis is saying you need to deal with Edu now.
So,
It's not working.
yeah.
And he's come out and spoken about it.
Yeah. I
And
hear
it's,
that.
you know, like my granny would say, keep your personal
Yeah,
business at
yeah,
home.
yeah.
Don't expose your personal business in public.
But that's the beauty of someone like Nuno, isn't it? It's the fact that where other managers would have just given some media trained line, he talks from the heart. And I think Marinakis is not the kind of owner that Nuno can work for, because Nuno doesn't suffer fools either. He doesn't strike me as somebody who's a yes man who will just fall into line and toe the party line, especially when he's the one that's being put out there to almost manage the public relations of the club based on the actions of the owner. That for me, for me personally, I just feel like for the good of the club, the greater good of the club, and what they built there together, I just feel there could have been, and Marinakis was the one for me that needed to be the bigger person to come and sit down and say, right, what do we need to do to sort out this relationship? Do you understand? But anyway, it didn't happen. Big Ange lasted 39 days. Obviously, you know, the guillotine? Yeah, the guillotine came down on his neck after a 3-0 defeat to Chelsea at the weekend. Chelsea centre-back actually, Achiamapang. Did I say that right?
Oh.
Achiamapang. Scored his first goal for the club, putting them 1-0 up. Nico Williams actually could have pulled a goal back in fact, Forest had a few opportunities they could have pulled back to get themselves back into the game, but it was Neto with a second goal that put double the lead for the away team. Matt Sells probably should have got a hand to it. It kind of was very close to his body. It was a worked free kick from just the edge of the box. Wasn't in the corner, but it was powerful. But I still feel the keeper probably should have done a little bit better. You know, Milenkovic had a header well saved. Igor Jesus had like a...
Didn't he hit the crossbar on the post?
And the post, yeah. And it was a great effort as well, like a volleyed effort in the air. So, you know, they could have got something out of the game. But then Reece James ended up scoring the third with a header that was partly cleared. And then Reece James was following up around the 12-yard spot, the penalty spot, and just slammed the ball home. 3-0 loss. Marinakis apparently was out the stadium by the 68th minute.
Out his seat.
He was out of his seat by the 68th minute.
What
Go
I
ahead.
was hearing is that he kicked the screen,
Yeah.
the big screen that's in front of his
Yes,
seat,
yes.
smashed it,
Oh, so he couldn't watch that TV anymore. So he went home to watch it.
and then in the 62nd minute or something, left his seat and wasn't seen in his seat again.
That's right. I heard that he left the stadium altogether. He didn't just go into the boardroom or anything. He just left the stadium straight together. It sounds like that was the point. Even though we heard the news after the final whistle, I think Andrew was sacked. Prior to that, yeah. I think it's fair to say.
With Martignol and Tottenham?
Yeah, go on.
Where he was sacked. He was sacked
While
in the
he was
second half. He was sacked
during the game. Mad.
But even with that, like it was something like, was it 12 minutes after? Because hearing the reports was that the reporters went down the tunnel to do the post-match press conference and saw Ange leaving with his rucksack. Yeah. And he's gone straight into his car and drove out the stadium. Yeah. And then I think it was within 10 minutes of that, they then had the report to say that the official statement from Nottingham Forest to say that he'd been relieved of his duties.
That's right. Well, it was actually one of the players. I can't remember who it was. Was it the club captain?
Dean Yates.
Yates. That's right, Yates. Apparently, he'd gone down outside for his warm down, run. When he was coming back in, that's when some of the reporters there said, "Do you know that he's gone?" And he's like, "What?" Shocked. And then he did an interview, bless him. He did an interview right there and then, so which would have been really difficult because you have no idea. You've not been briefed by the press officer. You don't know, what, is it a good thing that he's gone or is it a bad thing? What line am I peddling?
No, but the thing is, though, in that situation, as a club captain, you've got to toe the party line. Yeah. And what I saw is, in his eyes, it was like, what is going on here? Yeah. But in his mouth was like, well, we've got to do the best thing by the clubs, and the players have let the club down, and the players need to perform.
That was good of him. He took it on the players as well. Fair.
That's why you're the club captain.
Correct.
And you're probably upset that you weren't playing. But anyway, that's another story altogether. And you could have put the boot in, you could have been a bit...
But you didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, captain material that. And I think we're ready to go with the Grime Journalists roundup of the weekend's football, guys. So I know you probably had to wait, but you know what? I thought let's leave it a bit later anyway, just to make sure you stay on the show, with us for a bit longer, because I know you're going to be waiting to hear that. So DJ, if we can get the Grime Journalist roundup played now, and you guys can hear that.
Game week 8 in the Premier League. It's a mess at the City ground. Forest 0, Chelsea 3, Postecoglou sacking. Wow. Brighton 2, Newcastle 1. Danny Welbeck scored twice. Burnley 2, Leeds 0. What a win for Parker's side. Palace 3, Bournemouth 3. In an absolute thriller, Krupi braced Mateta hat-trick. That miss at the end was a killer. City 2, Everton 0. Erling Haaland with a double. Sunderland 2, Wolves 0. Pereira's team are in big trouble. Fulham 0, Arsenal 1. Another set piece and a clean sheet. Spurs 1, Villa 2. When Diaz finished was neat. Liverpool 1, United 2. Mbuemo scored in 62 seconds. Cody Gakpo hit the post 3 times. And what's stressing, he scored a late equaliser. Then missed an absolute sitter after Maguire scored with a header that turned out to be the winner. That's a big win for Amarin and a crisis for Slot, with Liverpool now losing 4 successive games on the trot. The game on Monday night was another London derby. East versus West, the Hammers versus the Bees. West Ham versus Brentford, the home fans were not pleased. The final score, 2-0 to the away team.
Jesus.
Wow.
Lucky you didn't see us here in the studio, because
Wow.
we were throwing some shapes, man. We were throwing some shapes. I'm not that good at throwing shapes anymore, so better than that's done behind closed doors, rather than in
We
in
think
the view of
it's
the
throwing
public.
shapes.
What's that? Sorry.
We think it's throwing shapes. In our head, it's throwing
It's
shapes.
more like a twitch. To other people, probably looks like a twitch.
But
I was throwing shapes in my head for real. Grime Journalist, guys. Once again, Dream. So Dream is the name that he goes by, otherwise known as the Grime Journalist. The guy's doing bits, and you can see him he's been on Sky Sports now. He's on Radio 1. So I think Suspiro plays the roundup as well on Tuesday night. So hey, we get ahead of Suspiro. Look at us getting the exclusive. You know what I'm saying?
It's not what you know, brother. It's not what you know.
It's who you know. You know what I'm
All
saying? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and listen, just a beautiful guy as well. So yeah, big up yourself, Grime Journalist. See you soon. Thank you once again for the roundup, sending that through to us. Okay, what time have we got? Okay, so we're coming up for another break in about 8 minutes. Let's run through a couple of other games before we go into the break. Obviously, Man City 2, Everton 0, as you heard the Grime Journalist mentioned, with Erling Haaland with a double again. He's doing bits at the moment. Wayne, I saw your notes. You said, can anybody stop that man? Right? You didn't even have to call out who it was. No. Can anybody stop that man? Everyone knows who it is, right?
He's quicker than people. He's sharper than people.
Stronger.
He's stronger than people. And he just keeps going. I think it's something like 9 touches, 2 goals?
Was it? Yeah.
In the whole game. 9 touches, 2 goals. Yeah. Like, he's not interested in anything else other than putting the ball in the net.
Correct.
And when you talk about elite goal scorers, I know people say, oh yeah, but other players are more rounded, more finesse, more this, more that. He just looks at them and says, but how many goals did they score? And that's what he's there for. That's what he's there for. He's outscoring everybody.
But also, I'd say it goes back to, once again, what does the team need? Yeah? Number one, what does the team need? And number two, how do we get the best out of said player? Now, for me, Erling Haaland, I know when people talk about the fact, oh, he's just a goal hungry, he hasn't got any other facets to his game, he just scores goals. No, I've seen him take defenders on from the halfway line for Dortmund and bang. I know I've said that before, but I have to keep reiterating it because he's got much more in his locker. But he's come to Manchester City. Pep needs him to do a particular job, and he's doing that job to a T. And he's not complaining because he's breaking records with the amount of goals that he's scoring. Yeah. This season alone, so far, I mean, we're only in October, you know. He scored firstly in his 11th game running. So this is 11th game running scoring streak that he's on at the moment. For club and country, that is. He scored 21 goals for club and country in those 11 games. 21 goals in 11 games. 2-in-1 ratio, right? And then if you go back right to the beginning of the season, it's 23 goals in 13 games. The only game that he didn't score in was their 2-0 loss to Tottenham Hotspur, which was the first game of the season. So the guys, yeah, it's phenomenal. Again, great couple of goals, real striker goals. First goal, it was Nico O'Reilly, I think, went down the left, crossed it in. I mean, he didn't even need to jump that high. I'm just like, you're just showing off now, Erling. You're just showing off. He didn't have to jump 7 feet in the air. There was nobody else around him anyway. But the height at which he got, and then the power to head the ball back down into the ground, into the net. Just the model striker. And the model headed goal, if you like. And then the second one, I thought Pickford probably could have done a bit better with it. Savinho had the ball on the left. He cuts the ball back to Haaland, who's just on the edge of the area. And he strikes it first time with his left foot. And it kind of went through some bodies. So maybe that kind of, unsighted Pickford. But I felt he could have done a little bit better on that goal. But listen, 2-0 to Man City. Firstly, let's talk Man City, then I want to talk a bit about Haaland before the break. In terms of Manchester City, a lot of people had it down as Arsenal, Liverpool again this season, which is kind of what they did last season, saying it would be Arsenal, Man City again. Are we being a bit silly sleeping on Man City? It's a bit silly to sleep on Man City, you know?
If you take Haaland out of the team,
yeah,
are they the same team?
That's a really good question. Because I don't look at their squad and say, oh, this player can come in and do what Haaland does. So you're right.
So I think that Haaland, it's not very often you say this about a Pep team.
Yeah.
Haaland is carrying that team. But you say he's carrying them, but he only had 9 touches.
Correct.
So he's not carrying them, but he's the difference. He's making a difference in the games he's playing, and he's the difference between them winning games.
Yeah.
And at the moment, just staying in games.
Because
it's not like the peppering goal, peppering shots on the goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, out of all the shots that they've had, he's scoring 2.
Yeah.
He's getting 2 chances, he's banging 2 goals.
Let me say it like this. I like this analogy. I just thought it up in my head.
I can see by the smile on your face.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I like that one.
It's nothing to do with Arsenal, no?
Nothing to do with Arsenal.
Okay.
Let's use an F1 analogy.
All right.
These F1 cars are tuned to the highest specs, the highest specification. You mentioned that he's carrying Manchester City, then you corrected yourself. So he's not carrying them, but, he's one of those really fine-tuned parts in that F1 car. Yeah. And if that it could be a little minute part, like a screw. And if that screw's loose, the performance level of that car can dip drastically because everything is so finely tuned to those specifications. And I think that's what Manchester City are now. We saw how they dropped off with no Rodri last season. Yeah, again, a key cog in that fine-tuned machine. And I think Erling Haaland, again, is obviously a really key cog in that fine-tuned machine. So it's not that he's carrying them, but it's that everything is so finely tuned towards getting the best out of the best players in the team that when he's not there and someone else comes in, it's very difficult to switch up now to try and accommodate a different type of striker. Yeah. Totally get that. I see Haaland going to Barcelona in the summer. I'm going to put it out there. He can't go Madrid. Madrid are, they've got Mbappe there now. I mean, not to say they wouldn't get him and play the two of them and put Mbappe on the left and sell Vinicius to AC Milan or Saudi even, yeah? Not to say they wouldn't do that, but Barcelona need a striker. Lewandowski, I think this is his farewell season. And even if he still stays, he played a bit part from the bench, like Thomas Muller did for decades. I think Haaland goes Barcelona this year. Can you imagine? I think that would be beautiful to see him and Mbappe going head to head, in La Liga. That's what I'm saying. If he wins the league again now with Manchester City or even the Champions League, what else does he need to do with Manchester City? He's done what he needs to do. Now's a good time to go Barcelona and really cement your legacy playing for one of the legacy teams in world football. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm just thinking about Erling Haaland at Barcelona. But I think he'd see more to his game though if he went to Barca. Yeah, he'd definitely get more involved in build-up play because Lewandowski still does, even at his age. He's still coming, dropping deep, getting the ball, blah, 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 We are coming up to 11:30. The time goes even quicker now. We're doing the TV thing as well. I can't believe that it's gone so quick. It's 11:30, guys. We've got to go away for a quick break. When we come back, we'll complete the roundup. Obviously, Wayne's going to want to talk about Villa, so we're probably going to end up spending half an hour talking about Villa because they won. So stay tuned. He can't find his badge. And welcome back to the last part of the Genius Football Show. You're in tune with myself, Gene Sylvester, otherwise known as Gene-Ius, and my colleague here, Mr. Wayne Calder. And again, thanks for those who are joining us live on Break Tru Tv for the first ever time. You're part of a momentous occasion in years to come. People will be like, yo, I watched that very first show on Break Tru TV, you know. It was different still, you know what I mean? Should have seen them then and look at them now. You know what I mean? So you're in the right place. You're in the right place. And also we got our newstyleradio.com listeners tuned in as well. So glad you guys were able to join us again on our Monday evening football talk show. Right, we haven't got long left, so we really need to speed through the last few games, Wayne. I know which is going to be difficult for you because the next one is Spurs versus Villa.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Okay.
And can I say, as a Liverpool fan, I can honestly say I was really pleased that Villa turned that around. Because I actually had Spurs winning that game, personally. I had Spurs winning the game, even before the game kicked off. Had Spurs winning the game. So when you went 1-0 down, I thought, okay, yeah, that's what it is. It's going to be a Spurs win, right? But you actually came through. And not just went, get the draw, you actually went through and got the win. And in some style, talk about it, man. Tell us about it.
Where do I start? I was waiting for your summary, and I was going to go into the.
I know you can't wait, man. I know. I can see you there fidgeting.
So, it was interesting because a lot of I lived in London for a number of years, and I lived near the Tottenham Hotspur ground. It wasn't finished when I moved back, but a lot of people from my past came. Oh, Wayne, what do you think the Tottenham Villa score is going to be? And I was like, you know what? It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a scoring game. But I wasn't nailing my flag to the mast and saying, I expect Villa to win this game. And then we've gone to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and then they've scored in the first two. Was it Bentancur scored in the first 2 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
And it was calamitous defending. The ball's come out. We've tried to clear it. We've kind of miskicked it. It's spun out to Bentancur just outside the 6-yard box, and he rifled it into the back of the net, and it hit. And Amadou Onana.
Slight deflection, wasn't it? Yeah.
And you could see even Emi Martinez wasn't really ready to make the save. He's like, what's going on? Like we're totally disjointed.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Villa side, he'd brought Amadou Onana back into the starting 11. They were saying that Ollie Watkins wasn't fit to start, so he started with Daniel Mylan up front.
Yeah, up front.
Guess who? You know who I'm talking about.
Is that an assist?
Huh?
Was that an assist? For the Rodgers goal. You see, because then what he does, he passed the ball to, he did a little feint to me. I was like, oh, there's a little feint there. Did he mean that? No, a little feint. Then he passed it 2 yards.
No. If you look closely, he stumbled.
It's a stumble, okay. So he stumbled, he's through the defender, then he does a little 2-yard pass to Rodgers, and then Rodgers tries to play in Cash.
Yeah.
And I think it's Xavi Simons gets in the way, and he comes straight back to him, doesn't he?
He just goes the other way.
Inside, and bangs.
But yeah, so when you look at it, they played McGinn on wide on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
Played McGinn on the left-hand side, trying to play him on his right side, because he was playing in a double pivot.
Yeah.
Now, I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, what's going to happen? Because when I saw Luka Dean against Mohamed Kudus, I was looking at the stats for Mohamed Kudus. He's got the most dribbles, successful dribbles in the Premier League. He's got the most assists. And he looks like he's having the time of his life on that big pitch.
Yeah.
At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Of course. Sorry, can I just say, big up to Bigsby 20. Bigsby saying, number one, he doesn't think Barcelona have the funds to actually get Haaland. Listen, Bigsby, you know Barcelona find funds when they need to, right? We know they find funds. We don't know where from, we don't ask questions, but they find the funds. But appreciate the feedback on the show as well, guys. Where do you think Haaland's going to end up? Sorry, I'm sorry to cut him, but I just wanted to give Bigsby a shout. Yeah, so you were saying about the fact that obviously bringing back Danny Marlin into the team, and also, is Rodgers not hitting a bit of form now since probably the game just before the international break, and then he had a decent international break?
Let's not get it twisted. He lost the ball more times than he successfully.
What, on the weekend?
On the weekend.
Yeah, but in his position, sometimes you give those creative attackers a little bit more leeway. No,
you do give them a little bit more leeway, and you'd expect their pass completion rates to be lower because they're trying to be expansive. They're trying to create opportunities.
Yeah,
but he's. I know in some of the groups that I'm in, we've been debating whether he should have been dropped or not. But when he's hitting Raspers like that, but if I'm being really honest, the goalkeeper should have done better.
Yeah, his positioning was wrong, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be so far off the line.
No.
Because ultimately, I mean, where the ball goes over him, you're thinking, how's he beating him like that? Yeah. But it felt like he was just a bit too far off the line at that point.
Yeah.
But you still can't take anything away from the strike.
Nothing. Can't take anything away from. And
strike was clean.
I was so happy for him because I was having this debate with my brother, and I'm trying to explain. Yes, Dion, I'm talking to you. I'm trying to explain to him, when you have young players in your side, they will have dips in form.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
There's some managers that feel when they're showing that dip in form, take them out the start, take them out the firing line, take them out of it. And there's other managers that kind of like, no, they've got to play through this.
Yes.
They've got to learn what it takes to kind of come back from this.
That builds character.
And they'll come back stronger and they'll develop their character in terms of their longevity in football. I think Unai Emery is stuck with him, even though there are opportunities. You've got Harvey Barnes there. You've got Sancho.
Harvey Elliott, not Barnes. Elliott, yeah.
Him too.
Yeah.
You got Harvey Elliott. You got Sancho there. You know what I mean. You've got like some of the youth academy players at Villa who are doing very well.
Buendia.
Buendia
as well, right?
So you've got these players there, and he's persevered with him. And then I think on Sunday that was kind of like payback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I've still got it, boss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm still here.
Thanks for believing, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've gone to England and I've played for England, and there's a debate now whether I'll get picked over Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm in those echelons there, but
for sure.
From a club point of view, I need to have the confidence and the knowing that my manager has the faith in me.
In me, yeah, exactly. And then he'll show you what you can do, you know?
And my thing was Villa's second goal.
That's where I was going to go, man. I think that was a thing of beauty.
Right there.
From the pass. It's funny because the ball's been cleared. I think it's McGinn that kind of heads the ball back to Matakash on the halfway line. Yeah. There are some players there, as a last defender, that will say, let me not take the risk. I'll just go all the way back to Martinez, and then we'll regroup. And
my brother, the criticism of Matty Cash is he'll run up the wing, turn back, and knock it back to Enzo Konza.
Well, that's what. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, but a lot of fullbacks do that now. A lot of wide men do that now.
No, Cash in particular. You
me,
don't
yeah.
really see Cash putting the ball in
Yeah,
or anything
yeah,
like that. So when he's hit the ball, it came as a shock. I'm like, wow. And it wasn't just a normal hit. He
No, man.
pinged it.
That was a Thiago-esque. I'm talking Thiago Alcantara. That was a Thiago Alcantara-esque pass where you shape your body almost horizontal,
And you just...
and you just ping it. You ping it with the outside of your foot. But what it's got backspin on it. And if you hit that wrong, it's just going up in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he hit it with the beautiful trajectory, driven over to the right wing. And then, hold on a minute, Luca Digne. Pulling it out of the sky like a Jean-Pierre Papin. What you doing? What you up to? Jean-Pierre Papin pulled it out of the sky. But the beautiful thing is, he jumps up in the air. You see like Ronaldo, stills of Ronaldo in the air. There's a still I used to have John Barnes on my wall where he was like jumping in the air to bring a ball down. He almost jumped in the air, brought the ball down, but as the ball hit the floor, so did his foot. And it's almost simultaneously, just turns his left foot back and just dinks it back to Buendia. Beautiful piece of play. And then if Buendia misses that shot there, he's getting pelters because after those two pieces of brilliance, you couldn't shank it. No, you had to deal with that. No. And he dealt with it. Beautiful left-footed curler into the bottom left-hand corner. That's got to be one of the goals of the season.
It's got to be.
Because of the three elements
pieces of magic.
Individual magic.
Three different players contributing, accumulating in that finish.
Yeah,
and the finish was beautiful as well.
Beautiful. Roger's position, it was lucky that the player's foot was playing him on side, isn't it? Yeah, otherwise that would have been a clear-cut offside because it was clearly obscuring the keeper's view as well. But fifth win on the road on the spin now for Villa. So it's starting to get a tune.
You know what? As I was saying to Villa fans, don't get too excited when we win.
Yeah.
And don't get too low when we lose. We're on a journey, and we need to keep level-headed. We need to keep our feet on terra firma and understand that this whole PSR spending thing is really, really impacting on us.
Without a doubt.
We're not able to bring in the players, bring in the quality of the players, spend the money that we want to spend to get the better quality players in. So we have to go through this process, and it's going to be painful. And there's going to be times when we don't do it.
Yeah.
But don't lose sight of that.
But I always say to that, and I think we've spoken about it before, and I'm not going to get into it too much now, but I know, you've got the right manager who can get the extra 10% out of players who are not deemed as your big household name stars. So I think this is a familiar space for Unai Emery, and he'll look at that, and he doesn't look at that as a hindrance. He'll just look at that I have a different way to work now, but he'll still be demanding that they're going and challenging for the Europa League at the end of the season. Do you understand? Because that's the manager he is.
He'll get a tune out of these players that kind of haven't really established themselves or made it at the big club, and he'll go out and look. Capoue at Tottenham.
Was he at Tottenham, wasn't he? And then
took him to Sevilla.
Yeah, Villarreal. Yeah.
Made him into multiple European.
Didn't they win it like 3 years on the trot or something? It's mad.
So you know what I mean. So for me, I'm happy. I'm happy for Villa. I'm happy for Villa supporters.
Correct.
Happy for Birmingham. Yeah. Happy for Unai.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, and say coming just at the right time as well, just as the games start to come thick and fast in Europe also. Good to get that confidence. Definitely a really confidence-building win that one was away at Spurs. We've got to crack on, just make sure we can get through everything before the end of the show. Brighton 2, Newcastle 1. Danny Welbeck, Wayase. The man is, when you look at the strikers and the money that people have paid for strikers this summer, and look at what Brighton have there, at the ripe old age of 34, 35, is it?
34.
34, banging goals.
Bro.
And that first goal.
This is the most productive goal-scoring season of his career.
I think that was last season. I think last season was the first time that he got into double figures with Premier League goals.
I think they're talking about goals per minutes ratio.
Last season was definitely the first time that he got into double figures, I think it was, of Premier League goals. I remember talking about it on one of our previous shows. Yeah. But he's just continued that run now. 4 goals in, we're not even in October. So it looks like he could go, if he continues this trajectory, he could just keep going, and he's probably going to bust that record as well, to be honest with you.
Should he go to the World Cup?
You know what? I'm not going to say nothing because when I said there's a good reason for Hendo to be there, I got ribbed, guys, by the way, by these guys. Yeah, because I said I understand why Thomas Muller, what's his name now? The England manager. Tuchel, not Thomas Muller, Thomas Tuchel. When I said I understand why he's got Hendo in the squad, you know what I mean? He's a new manager. He wants some old heads around the place. I got ripped by these guys. You could say the same about Welbeck. We haven't really got another striker that's nailing down, and saying, that backup position behind Kane is mine.
You know what? And he just seems to be a consummate professional.
Yeah.
I remember reading something about him that, he had a lot of injuries early on in his career. It was him and Sturridge that were strikers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he in one of his injuries, he went and he kind of redesigned himself in terms of finding out about health and fitness.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what method that he used to kind of make his joints more supple and, you know what I mean? And he's lived his life like that as a consummate professional on and off the pitch. And he's meant to be a fantastic teammate and he sets standards and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, you know what? If it's a 26-man squad that's going to go to the World Cup,
why not?
Why would you not bring him?
Why not? Who are the better English strikers right now in the Premier League?
I'd have something to say if they didn't bring Ollie Watkins.
Of course you would, because you're a Villa fan. Not when he's playing.
No, but
but we also, because I was going to say, we also know that Ollie's form needs to pick up, because on this form he's not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come across to the States. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, why don't you go? Disneyland. You should really go check out Disney. No, we'll be here training. Yeah, you go and do your thing. The first goal that I have to just talk about Welbeck's first goal. I think it was Rutter ran through the middle. Welbeck, gets on his bike. The ball's played down the channel. Now he's approached with Pope. Nick Pope coming off his line again. The composure and the ability to chip that ball over Pope in the way that he did to score the opening goal, sublime. Showing that obviously, he's still got, his quality, not just experience, but he's bringing a bit of quality to that forward line as well. Nick Baltimore, what a goal from him. Nice little flick goal, making Isaac look a little bit of a plum at the moment. Let's move on. Welbeck.
Can I just repeat that? Gene-Ius said he's making Isaac look like a
I'm only playing. I'm just playing. No, obviously Newcastle fans, it's definitely softened the blow of Isaac leaving when you've got a striker that comes like that, settles so quickly, shows ability, shows confidence. What has he got? 5 goals so far, I think, in all competitions again for them. So, yeah, listen, I'm happy for, Newcastle.
They've got their number 9.
And that, the Geordies, they love a number 9, right? We know they love a number 9.
Always.
So, it's only natural they get another one that looks like he could follow in the footsteps of some of the great number 9s, especially if they keep him. Next summer we may be having conversations again. Playing. No, Isaac is going to come good. Isaac will be one of, if not the best in the world, playing at Liverpool. Again, we can talk about that again in a year's time.
Is this you putting positive energy out there?
No, man, it's just what I know of what I've seen of him.
You're sending libations to manifest?
Just what I know of what I've seen of him. That's it. Game of the weekend, actually, in terms of excitement. Probably Palace 3, Bournemouth 3. Funny, because this week, some of the headlines that have kind of been dominating from a Palace perspective was Wilfried Zaha coming out and challenging, let's say, some words that Mateta had made or said while he was away on international duty. Mateta had essentially come out and said that, at Palace, his teammates, they used to make fun of him and say he'll never play for France, he'll never play for the international team. He mentioned that it was a group of players that said it, but he then mentioned Zaha's name. He said, a group of players like Zaha. Probably because of the fact that Zaha is the most well-known, maybe to the French public that would know who he is. Zaha didn't like that, and he's come out and he's basically made a video on his mobile phone, and he basically said exactly that. Why are you calling out my name? There were 10 of us there, do you know what I mean? Why are you calling out my name? Is it because I'm the best-known player that was there, blah, blah, blah. And then Zaha, to be fair to him, number 1, he mentions that it's a bit of banter. Number 2, he mentions that at the time, he had the likes of Benzema, Giroud, Mbappe in front of him. So, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people probably would have, seconded that opinion and said, yeah, to be fair, now's not the time you're going to get into the French team, right? But obviously, Mateta's in the French team now. I mean, in the form of his life at Crystal Palace as well.
Scored, didn't he, in the international break?
I don't know actually. I didn't keep an eye on the internationals as much this break. But if he did, again, all praise to him. So I think now that's why he's probably come out and mentioned that now, saying, look, I'm here now. And people told me that I couldn't make it. And he was just giving that Palace situation as an example. But I mean, did he respond? Didn't respond in the media or in social media or anything, but he responded on the pitch at the weekend, banging 3 for Crystal Palace to get a hat trick. I'm not sure if that's his first hat trick for Crystal Palace. Actually, I'd like to probably double check that. Should have had 4 and the winner, right? That should have been an epic last minute winner. But yeah, both team managers, both team managers like to get poached, Wayne. That's what you mentioned here in the notes as well. That you think that they'll.
I think. After this, well, couldn't even be Christmas, but one of them managers ain't going to be the manager of that club next season.
Yeah, for real.
If not both of them.
That's the truth. That's just the truth. I don't disagree with you one little bit. Eli Krupi opened the scoring for Bournemouth. So he only came on. I think he came on in the last 9 minutes in Bournemouth's last game. I think it was against Leeds, was it? And he came on and scored a 90th minute winner. So he started in this game and he scored another 2 for Bournemouth. Semenyo assisting both of his goals. As I mentioned, obviously Mateta got his 3 goals and Ryan Christie also scored a goal as well to make it 3-3. Mateta's goal coming in the 90th minute, a penalty after he was dragged down in the box by Bournemouth defender. But as Wayne says, there was a last-minute chance where the ball comes to Mateta, plumb centre, 12 yards out on the volley, and he absolutely blazed skies. I don't know if it must have cleared the stadium stand. So yeah, big chance missed there to take all 3 points.
Sorry, just to go back.
Go for it.
Scored his first goal for France on Monday against Iceland.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
What was the score in that game?
2-2.
Okay, nice. Good to hear. Yeah, so he's on his way, man. Yeah, he's up there. And I'm really happy for him. When Roy Hodgson was actually at the club at Palace, and I was covering a lot of their games for the Morning Star newspaper, and he kept persisting with Edouard.
Where is he now?
Asmina. I'm sure he's still at Palace. He just ain't getting nowhere near the first team anymore. But he kept persisting with Edouard. I remember Mateta scored his first goal for the club, similar to the Baltimore back heel at the weekend, and he scored that against Brighton, who are their closest rivals. The M23 derby is a big thing down there, right? He scored that goal, never got a start again for ages. Then Patrick Vieira came into the club. He showed faith in him, and Mateta was getting goals, playing really well with loads of confidence. I remember asking Patrick about him in the after-match press conference, and when I mentioned his name, he said, "I'm glad that you asked about Jean-Philippe, because he said he's not the person that everyone wants to ask about. Everyone wants to ask about Will Zaha, or you know what I mean. And at the time, it would have been Elise as well. No one asked about Mateta, and he really gave a glowing review of Mateta, which I was really happy for. Yeah, really, really good to see. Burnley 2, Leeds 0. Burnley, as you mentioned, were favourites to go back down, right? But what they've done, they're winning the battle of the promoted teams. So they've won 2 games this season. The only 2 games they've won are against their fellow promotion teams, so Sunderland and Leeds. And, if you want to give yourself any chance of staying up, you've got to beat those teams around you, right? Because you're not just taking 3 points for yourself, you're taking 3 points off them as well, right, in that particular race.
But to be fair to them, none of the teams that have been promoted are in the bottom 3. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, that win this weekend got them out of the bottom 3, didn't it? It took them out of the bottom 3. The first goal was an absolute. Was a header from French midfielder Leslie Okachukwu.
Didn't they just sign him from Chelsea?
Yeah, they did actually. Yes,
because he was on loan at Southampton.
That's right. Last night, and then Southampton got relegated. Indeed. The second goal was an absolute cracker from Loom Chuana. Awful with the names. He's come on again. I think the 80-something minute substitute, or 58th minute substitute, 68th minute, gets the ball in the middle of the park, turns around and just unleashes a rocket from about 30-odd yards that just flew past the goalkeeper. Leeds had 16 shots to Burnley's 4, so you can see where, obviously, the emphasis was in terms of where, the control was in the game. But ultimately, Burnley were as efficient, man. They had 4 shots on goal, Sorry, 3 shots on target to Leeds' 4 shots on target.
Scored 2.
And scored 2, so that's
And
not
won
bad.
the game.
It's not bad efficiency, man.
points on.
Not bad efficiency at all. And the last game of the weekend was Sunderland versus Wolves. Sunderland 2, Wolves 0. Yeah, Wolves are not looking too good at the moment. Nordi Mukiele opened the scoring after playing a lovely 1-2 with the Sunderland defender Trey Hume on the edge of the box. The return ball came beautifully to the wide player, collected the ball about 6 yards out and just fired a hard low shot underneath the keeper. The second goal, really unfortunate. Ladislav Krejci with an own goal. Sunderland were breaking on the break, counter-attack. Who was it that had it on the left-hand side of the pitch? Oh, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Talby, I think he was, on the left-hand side of the pitch. Goes to cross it over to the right-hand side like a low cross. Krejci cuts out the cross, but ends up kicking the ball past. It's actually a great finish if you're a striker. Kicking the ball past the keeper in the goal and, wrong-footed him altogether. So, yeah, Sunderland running out 2-0 winners there. Looking good, Sunderland. I think out of the 3 that have come up, they look the most... like they've got the tools to be quite comfortable.
It's not a fluke.
No.
It's not a fluke.
No.
And I think that the player, Xhaka,
Yeah.
what a signing
What a
Xhaka's doing.
signing, yeah.
And he's
totally.
surrounded by people that look like they're going to war with him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like the general.
The general, yeah.
And he's just got the legs around him, because he hasn't got the legs that he used to have.
But
he's got the legs around it. And you got that Wilson Isidio up front, who's just scoring goals for fun. You've got players that are moving very quickly around the place, and the stadium of light is like a cauldron.
You're not wrong. Yeah, looking really...
No one's looking forward to going there.
No one's looking forward to going there. You're not wrong. Exactly that. Yeah. Really shrewd piece of business bringing in Bundesliga winner, Granit Xhaka, who's also got bags of Premier League experience with Arsenal as well. So yeah, really, really good signing. Obviously at the top of the table, as we mentioned earlier on, Arsenal are clear at the top of the table at the moment. We've got concerns and we've only got a couple of minutes, so we're going to have to rant up real quick. I've got concerns for Vita Pereira at Wolves.
If you look at his record, he does well at the beginning and then tails off. So it's his second season there.
Yeah.
So he doesn't stay in jobs for very long.
For very long, exactly.
1.5, 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So it's coming up to that time where,
Yeah, you're not wrong. And as for Arsenal fans, looking good at the top of the table, looking pretty. This is what you guys always do, though, isn't it? October, November, dominate, and then the big talk about, title winners and yada, yada. I'm just waiting for February. A good friend of mine, Mr. Aaron Champions, he once said to me, why argue with an Arsenal fan when you can just wait? And it's been true to that word every single time since.
Was it 20 times? 20 times in a row.
Oi, painful. Anyway, Wayne, been a pleasure.
Oh, I love it. So, have to put a big shout out.
Go on. I was just about to as well, go on.
Break Tru TV.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Shannon from
Big
Break Tru
shout going out
TV,
to Shannon.
who made all of this work, guys. And also Reggae Jam Jam, Jerk Food Centre, Jerk Chicken Centre, come down, Dudley Road, behind the Afro-Caribbean Millennium Centre. Come through and get your food, man. Some wicked, authentic, when we say authentic, the real deal, yeah? Come and get some jerk, man. But listen, we're going to be doing this. It's going to be a regular thing now, guys. So make sure you're following Break Tru TV. You subscribe to Break Tru TV on YouTube. Also, make sure, you're keeping an eye on newstyleradio.com as well for any updates around shows. This weekend, Wayne, we're down at the Black History Cup. We were there last year at St. George's Park. We're down there again this year. This time it's at Leatherhead Football Club down in Kent.
Commentating the whole day?
We're going to be commentating again the whole day, man. So we're bringing our John Motson and, I don't know, who are you? Robbie Savage.
No, you can keep Robbie Savage.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming through, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.
Hotep, my people, Hotep.